Right. So this one is scenario menus. Now, I say menus, they're not really menus in the right sense of the word, but they are. They have interesting possibilities. So let me put a simple consist down. And we'll put a driver on him, and we'll give him some instructions just to drive to Churston. So if we just go to Churston up platform, and final destination will be Churston up. Make sure we set it as a player consist. Right, that's good enough for the time being. So that's a player service. The other thing, since we're probably going to upload this to Workshop, is 1 second. 1 second, folks. Where is it? There it is. Right, okay, so since this is probably going to Workshop, we should make sure that we have the required HST in the scenario, otherwise I'm going to get in trouble again. Right. So, HST. Oh, actually, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's take that out. And we'll fly over here. I'm sort of messing about with irrelevant rubbish at the moment, but never mind. Put the HST in here. That's it. Right. So let's get back to what we're actually supposed to be doing. So this is a Lua Script tutorial. If you don't know about Lua scripting or are not interested in Lua scripting, this may be of limited interest to you. However, what it involves is, I'm just going to move the chat off the screen, so I might miss what you're saying. What it involves is up here. We're going to click, we're going to trigger an event called start, and then we're going to open folder. Now you can't see that. Let me change over to sharing the monitor. Display, add, display capture 1, I think. Nope. And display capture that one. Yay, that's the game. Right, okay. That's fine. So now you can see what's going on my window. What I will do is pop that right to the bottom and then resize it. Good. That's better. So I'm going to create a file in here, not a folder. I'm going to create a file, text document, scenario script.lua. Make sure it says Lua file over here. I'll say this every time I do it. If it doesn't say Lua file over here, then under one of these settings, view, sorry, there it is. Make sure file name extensions is ticked, because if it's not, you lose a lot of information over here. And what happens is when you create a new text document called scenario script.lua, it actually says text document over here. Well, that's different to Lua file. And if you now unhide the file extensions, you'll notice it's actually created .lua.txt, which won't work. So if I now edit with Notepad, I'm going to rechange my preferences down, which was trying to remember where the font is in here. That'll do. Control mouse wheel function. So on event is the first one, and test condition. Again, these are all documented in my tutorials on how to create scenarios, so I'm not going to go into a great deal of how you do it. If event is start, then, and I'm not doing this neatly either, so don't panic. Now in here we can do a syscall, which does some magical stuff, and I'm just looking over to remind myself the syntax. It's scenario manager, and it's show alert message ext. The title of the box goes in here. Menu option 1, 15, and option 1 is I'll go into what these mean in a minute. Menu option 2, menu option 3, option 2, and option 3. And in here we're also then going to say else if event equals option 1, then else if event equals option 2, then else if event equals option 3, then no, then end. Right. So in here, we could, for example, I've got to remind myself how to do something. One moment. So essentially what those show alert message boxes will do is put dialog boxes up, put little messages in the top right corner. They'll stay there for 15 seconds. But if you click on them, not the X, but if you click on them, they'll actually fire an event. So you can keep these up. So potentially, if you know the scenario is 10 minutes long, you could keep these up for 600 minutes, and then they'll always be there, even if you click on them. Now, let me just look this up. Where are you? There it is. So in here we could say, close that down, don't want that. Right, so in here I could say set control value regulator, it's not a regulator, it's the reverser to 1. And in here I'm going to do begin condition check, cut off monitor, and in here I'm going to do end condition check. I'll explain but essentially what I'm doing here is when you click on the first option, it's going to set the reverser to full forward. When you click this, it's going to put my cutoff monitor on and it's going to start doing stuff. And when I click this one, it's going to turn off the cutoff monitor. What does that do? Let's just put in here if condition equals cutoff monitor, then I need to get the speed, which is there. So speed equals syscall player engine get speed. If speed greater equals 0 and speed less than equal 8, then else if speed greater than equal 8 and speed less than equal, I don't know, 15, then else if speed greater than equal 15 and speed less than equal 25, Can you tell what it is yet? Who's taking a guess? Do you know what this is actually supposed to do? 25 and speed less than equal 35. Then end. Not going to do any more than that. And then in here, how will a novice to Lua scripting have a clue what to type? If you look at my blog, can someone post and to the website, I've got tutorials telling you how to do this. Gus Kemp, it doesn't fly. Welcome aboard, Gus. Welcome aboard. Right, so in that instance, we're going to set the regulator to 0.75. In this instance, we're going to set it to 0.6. In this instance, we're going to set it to 0.35. That'll do. Sorry, no. 4.5, and then in this instance we'll set it to 0.3. Right, now assuming I've got that right, we'll reload the script. Hey, no errors. Compile. Okay, run, go. So over in the top right corner, get rid of that one and that one, we've got menu options. So now if you watch, not quite sure why that's getting all upset. So if you look at the first menu option, so if I set the reverse and minus, if I press the first menu option, notice how it goes up to the top? Isn't that awesome? So just by clicking on the menu option in the top right, I can make it do what I want it to do. If I start moving, if I click the top one and start moving, as we speed up, the condition is now firing. The menus have disappeared because they were only set to be shown for a little while, but it's all still working in the background. So as we speed up, we should get to about 8 miles an hour, and then we'll see the reverser change. In a minute. Oh, hang on. No, that's the it's in meters per second. That's not going to work. Is that a pond or a turntable? It's a turntable. Right. Let me come back into here and go back into near. When you get the speed, it returns it, I think, in meters per second. So let me just refer to trainsimlive.blogspot.co.uk. Lots of tutorials on here about how to do all sorts of things that I've written. One of which is getting the player's speed. Consists, video, audio, dynamics, ending, looking, speed. Scenario scripting, speed checking. How do you get the speed? Math.ab Syscall. We need to do that. And that. So let's do that. I'm even using my own website. Look at that. And then I'm going to copy in these definitions to the top. There. And we're using miles per hour. And then in here we're going to get this times it by the speed units. And now that's going to be 8 miles per hour. And what I'm also going to do is change these so that this one says reverser forwards. This one says cutoff monitor on. And this one says cutoff monitor off. And I'm going to change these so these are like 600 seconds. Just because. Right, now if I reload, no errors, good start. Okay, run the scenario. Right, so it's not freaking out now, which is good. So if I've got the cutoff, so if I do the I think I'm going to come out and go back in because I think that condition check is still actually running. So what this is actually doing... hey, Rubku, thank you for the follow. Much appreciated. Not the follow, the host. This is enabling you to use this functionality so that you can try and create things that are happening. Switch behaviors on, switch behaviors off. One of the things you could very easily code, for example, is if you've got a scenario with the 91 which has the DSD you can't turn off. Well, you could switch an option on here that automatically answers the DSD, so the player never has to do it. So if I now click reverser forwards, it goes forwards. If I now put cutoff monitor on, and then we start moving, so as we reach 8 miles an hour, sounding like crazy because I just want to accelerate and prove the point. So it's not 8 miles an hour, it's 9 miles an hour. Notice that the cutoff has dropped to 60% automatically. Yeah, so this is like making a scenario a little bit easier for people to play, because by clicking this option I can actually have the scenario do stuff for me. Notice in a minute, that's it, it's just dropped to 45%. So this is just a scenario script that's actually doing that. In a minute it's going to drop again, I think at about 25, 26. That's it, we've dropped to 30%. And what's more, it's doing all the time, so if I try and mess with it, it's going to constantly keep setting it back. So it's like you've taken control of the cutoff and the player can't do that. So there you go, folks. That's what I meant by menu options. Unfortunately, you can get rid of them by Xing them, but then they won't ever come back, which is a shame. So that's the menu options I was talking about. I was playing with that at the weekend, and I thought, I wonder if we could make it do that. And yeah, exactly. You can make it do all sorts of things. So really, it's down to you. If you gave the option to the user to click certain things, well, what could you do with that information? So where I've got cut-off monitor on or cut-off monitor off, you could have that as a cut-off monitor toggle. So you just toggle it and then pop a message box up underneath it to say whether it's on or off now. It's entirely up to you. I am going to overspeed, I don't care. Oh no, now we hit the hill, we're not overspeeding anymore. Can you make the options show on a large message? No, only these ones in the top right can be made clickable using the show alert message ext function that I showed you. So if you're making a Steam scenario, you could make it easier. DSD scenario, you could make it easier. You could have it... there's all sorts of things you could potentially use this for. I'm writing a script at the moment which will do all the passenger mode stuff. And one of the ideas I had was you could have an option in the top right corner that when you click on it, you could effectively, by clicking on it, you're saying passenger mode version of this scenario. And if you don't click on it, you drive the scenario. So effectively, by writing a scenario, you could effectively have both scenarios, passenger mode and non-passenger mode, out of what you've created. Just by effectively making a button in the top right you can click to switch the modes. And if they wants to switch the mode, they can exit out so they don't have to see it anymore and take the screenshots. Or they could make it to where they use the passenger mode to get it 2 or 3 stations and then click it again and then they take back over control. That's all stuff that could be done using this facility. This isn't struggling too hard up this hill, is it? I should hope not, really. It's not a small loco. Right, let's just get to Churston and see our HST, and then we'll move on. I need a tea. Hang on a minute. So does that make sense for anybody? Was that useful? Let me know. Can you make them show for the whole scenario? Yeah, you just change the timeout. So if you know that it's, you know, the scenario is 10 minutes long, then put them up for 15 minutes. That way they'll always be there throughout the entire scenario. You have to set a timing, but you can't, you know, you can just set it way beyond how far you'll go. So what will actually happen now is, as we slow down, you'll notice the cutoff changing again, because it's constantly monitoring. So as we slow down, you'll see this start moving forward again. There you go, it's just moved up to 45. Because it's based on the speed all of the time, it's up to 60. Means I'm now in a place where I can just reapply the power again, and I know it's going to work. I haven't got to worry about the cutoff. Steam Train's almost driving itself. Just like Steam Train's beginner mode. There's no reason why you couldn't have a button here which toggles an automatic fireman, and you can do your own firing logic in the scripting. The idea I'd had for that one is that if you put markers on the track which were the best times to fire, and then they triggered a message saying best time to fire starts now, best time to fire sort of finishes now, then it would change. You could make it to where your condition that processes the firing would work on different logic based on, you know, is this a good time to be firing? Yes. Is this a good time to be putting water in the boiler? No, we're going up a hill. You know, it's you could do all sorts of different things in there, and actually potentially make scenarios interesting to different to drive for people. HST for the win. Notice we're already back up to 75 again. So let's stop. And that's it. So there you go, folks. That is a little example of what you can do with the those little boxes in the top right. And without further ado, it's time for a Riviera line in the 50s. Can you set the brake pressure? You can set anything. Well, you can't set the brake pressure. You can set the lever. The brake pressure is a read-only thing. So what you could do is read the brake pressure and then decide whether to apply or release the brakes based on that. There you go. Scenario completed successfully. Job done. Could I repeat it, Corporal Mal? No, you can press the rewind button. Alright then, folks, let's get on with the proper scenario.